Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into it, plunging headfirst into a truly fascinating and often misunderstood chapter of canine history.
Yeah.
We're talking about the world of game dogs and the American Pit Bull Terrier. And our main source for this deep dive is just an incredible account, the unbreakable spirit of Grand Champion Buck. Our mission today really is simple. We want to pull out the most compelling stuff from Buck's story, try to understand what made him such a legend, and see what his life tells us about this pretty intense and unique history. You're basically going to get a shortcut to being really well informed about a remarkable animal.
Exactly. And it's more than just a dog story, isn't it? It's a deep look at endurance, at strategic breeding, and the very specific culture that surrounded these animals. We'll be, connecting the dots between what happened in his life and the bigger picture for understanding the historical American Pit Bull Terrier.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What does the story of Grand Champion Buck really tell us about this whole idea of the unbreakable spirit and the history of game dogs? We should probably start at the beginning, right? Buck's early life. He was actually sold as a pup by Pat Patrick to a physician, of all people.
Yeah. And funnily enough, or maybe not so funny for the physician, he apparently wasn't a great pet.
Right. Unsatisfactory. That led to him being sold to the late Alan Waldman.
And Alan Waldman, he was the first one who really saw something there. He recognized Buck's potential. He matched him twice successfully, down in the low 50-pound range.
Matched him. So like formal contest.
Exactly. Formal contests. One win was over Aldo Zeke, who, interestingly, became a champion himself later on.
Oh, wow.
And the other was over Winchester's Conan. So, right there, that kind of hints at the capabilities hidden inside this unsatisfactory pet.
So the potential was there,
Yeah.
just maybe not for being a house pet. Buck's real career, though, the one that made him famous, that really took off when STP bought him from Waldman, Buck was, only 2 years old then?
Just two, yeah.
And STP campaigned him at what they figured was his best weight, 46 pounds. And apparently, as soon as STP started working with him, they clocked his, incredible stamina.
Right, and this is key. Buck wasn't one of those dogs known for, flashy, quick wins, no 10-minute blowouts. Instead, the sources say he had virtually no weakness as a match dog. He just consistently dominated opponents. It didn't matter what their style was.
Okay, so not flashy, but effective. Dominant.
Incredibly effective. It points to this really deep, unwavering strength and determination. Grit, basically. A seemingly bottomless well of it that let him just outlast and wear down opponents. It's almost a psychological thing, too, not just physical. Wearing them down mentally.
That methodical approach. So tell us about some of those key matches under STP. What do they show?
Well, okay, his first one for STP against Tito's Tonka. Reportedly very one-sided. Tonka was stopped, handled in under 30 minutes.
Pretty quick work then, relatively speaking.
For Buck, yeah. Then he faced Captain America's Jumbo Jim. Now, this dog was specifically picked because they thought he could beat Buck. He was a double-bred, grand champion Hank dog, very highly regarded lineage.
High expectations for Jumbo Jim then.
Absolutely. And Jumbo Jim showed incredible heart. He made a scratch at the 1 hour 30 mark, which is a huge display of gameness.
A scratch meaning he had to cross the line to keep going.
Exactly. Proving he still wanted to continue despite everything, but by 1 hour, 57 minutes, he collapsed. Couldn't go on. Buck outlasted him.
Wow. And the wins kept coming.
He did. His fifth match against Rodney's JR, who was already a two-time winner. JR was handled at 52 minutes. But here's the thing. JR wasn't some pushover. He actually went on to win 3 more matches after that loss to Buck, eventually making champion.
So Buck beat a future champion. That says a lot.
It really does. And his 6th match against P&H's Rocky, another powerhouse son of the famous champion Jeep and grand champion Miss Rage.
Big names in the pedigree there.
Huge names. Rocky was picked up, handled, in just over an hour against Buck. And again, Rocky also went on to become a champion later, even after losing again to another great dog, Supernat's grand champion Ace.
So what's really striking then is this pattern. Buck's consistent, grinding, dominating style just wore down these incredibly tough game dogs.
Yeah.
Even future champions.
Exactly. It wasn't about a quick finish. It was about relentless pressure, that incredible stamina that just eventually overwhelmed them. Deep, deep gameness.
And after those 6 wins, he was retired. Still young, not even 4 years old, but already a champion.
A true champion.
But the story doesn't end there, does it? This is where it gets really interesting. After 2 years off,
2 years of retirement.
Buck gets contracted for this massive historic match
Yeah.
against Ricky Jones and Rebel Kennels grand champion Sandman. At 48 pounds.
And this was huge, just unprecedented in that world for the fanciers, the enthusiasts.
Oh, so unprecedented.
Because it was the first time ever that two registered grand champions were scheduled to fight each other.
Grand champion meaning 5 wins, right?
5 official wins against recognized opponents. A really difficult thing to achieve. So, yeah, 2 5-time winners meeting. That had never happened. Wow. The buzz around this was immense. It was like a clash of titans.
Okay, tell us about Sandman. He sounds like a formidable opponent just based on his title.
Oh, absolutely. Sandman was bred and raised by Ricky Jones himself. His breeding was a mix of some really famous lines, Rascal, Jeep, Boomerang, Cross. And Ricky Jones had this reputation, you know. He was known for taking dogs that maybe others overlooked, unwanted dogs sometimes. And just through his sheer skill and, well, dog sense, breeding bulldogs that could compete with the absolute best.
Real underdog story in a way for the handler.
Kind of, yeah. His kennel, Rebel Kennels, was genuinely respected. They had top-tier match dogs at pretty much any weight. So Sandman wasn't just a grand champion. He came from that kennel, handled by that dog man. The anticipation was just electric.
And the scene for the match. Pretty intimate, sounds like.
Yeah, only about 25 fanciers were there. The narrator of our source account, he mentions he put his money on Buck, but his friend, Peter from Holland, bet on Sandman.
They usually bet together.
Apparently, yeah. So the fact they split on this one just shows you how evenly matched these dogs were perceived to be. Nobody really knew who would win.
Okay, so the match starts. How did it unfold?
Intensely. Right from the start, Sandman apparently just shot over like a rocket, got a strong hold immediately. At one point, Sandman got Buck's stifled a knee joint, and Buck very slowly, very deliberately worked his way out of that hold.
And Ricky Jones reacted how?
He apparently got really excited, started shouting that Buck's stifle was broken, trying to, maybe influence things, get in STP's head. For the first 20 minutes or so, Sandman was definitely dominating. But then Buck started to turn the tide. He was described as being just a little stronger, having a little heavier mouth. The grind began.
So it wasn't a runaway for Sandman?
Not at all. Neither dog really pulled ahead significantly. And on the scratches, when they had to cross the line, both dogs were apparently like rockets. Just pure drive, pure determination on display. You knew it was going to be a long one.
A real war of attrition.
Exactly. Then, about an hour and a half in, things got critical. Sandman managed to get a really deep hold on Buck's neck, and it just created this stalemate. Buck was trying to twist out, trying everything, but Sandman wouldn't let go. They were just locked there, motionless.
Wow. Just pure will against will at that point.
Absolutely. A real test of who had the deeper resolve, who would break first.
And this is where Buck started making noise.
Yeah, the account says Buck began to vocalize his frustration, like a growl or a howl because he couldn't move, couldn't get leverage.
But Ricky Jones took that the wrong way.
Completely misinterpreted it. He got even more excited, thinking Buck was weakening, wanting to quit. He started yelling insults, denigrating Buck, denigrating STP. At one point, he apparently said he'd kick Buck's ribs in because he thought Buck was a cur.
And calling a dog a cur in that world is the worst thing you can say, right? Implying no gameness.
It's the ultimate insult, questioning the dog's heart, its willingness to continue no matter what. But what's really telling here, connecting it to the bigger picture, is STP's reaction.
What did STP do?
He stayed completely focused on Buck. Ignored all the outside shenanigans, as the source puts it. Just total coolness, total decisiveness under extreme pressure. That handle and focus is crucial in those situations.
The narrator even writes that he wanted Ricky to foul Buck.
Yeah, he apparently muttered for Ricky to go ahead and kick Buck because that would be a foul and Buck would automatically win the match.
So the narrator thought Buck had it won anyway.
It seems like Ricky might have started to realize it too. Maybe the verbal abuse was partly frustration, coping with the fact that his champion was up against something maybe unstoppable.
So how did it finally end, this epic battle?
It stayed incredibly close, unbelievably even, right until the very end. Then finally, Sandman started to falter, just couldn't sustain it anymore. At 3 hours and 17 minutes, just imagine that.
3 hours. Incredible.
After 3 more scratches, Sandman took the count. He couldn't cross the line in time, the match was over.
And Buck's final act.
His courtesy scratch, the one required even after the opponent quit, so it was a running one. He apparently slammed into Sandman one last time. A final, powerful statement of his spirit, even after all that.
Just unbelievable endurance.
Yeah.
But the aftermath, it sounds pretty intense too.
Oh, yeah. The post-match care really shows the dedication, but also the extreme risks. Buck was rushed to a shed, put on an IV and ringer solution, standard stuff, anti-inflammatory fluids.
To help him recover.
Right. But Buck, being Buck, apparently ripped the line out himself, still full of fire.
And Sandman. What happened with him?
It's tragic, really. In another shed nearby, Ricky Jones was frantically trying to save Sandman. The account says he gave Sandman an injection of epinephrine epi.
Like adrenaline.
Yeah, basically, a powerful stimulant. But the source states it killed Sandman immediately. Just a devastating outcome. It's a really stark reminder of the extreme measures, the high stakes, and the potential consequences in that world.
Such a contrast. Buck survives, Sandman doesn't.
A very stark contrast. Buck ended up staying at the narrator's house for 2 weeks while he recovered. And get this, every morning, 5:00 a.m. on the dot, Buck would apparently scream howl, this noise echoing through the house.
Still vocalizing that.
Still vocalizing.
Rare.
And even though he could barely stand, when they took him outside to walk, if he saw other dogs in the yard, he'd still try to lunge at them.
Wow. Even after that ordeal.
It just perfectly illustrates that his spirit, his core drive, hadn't been broken. Not even by a 3-hour-plus battle like that. That indomitable will was just intact.
So once he healed up?
He went back to STP's place, lived out his days, the good life, as they say, bred some bitches, ate well, died an old warrior, his legend secure.
So when we wrap this all up, what's the takeaway? Buck's story. It's clearly more than just wins and losses on a scorecard. It feels like a testament to something deeper. That stamina, that determination, that spirit that just wouldn't break.
Absolutely.
You heard how he faced down these really tough dogs, how he endured that unbelievable 3-hour marathon against Sandman, and even when he was recovering, that drive was still there, burning bright. For anyone listening who's really into the history of the American Pit Bull Terrier, especially the game dog side, Buck's life is just this incredible window, isn't it?
It truly is. His journey, from being the supposedly unsatisfactory pet to becoming a grand champion whose spirit remained unbroken after that kind of battle, it tells you something fundamental about the traits that were historically prized in this breed. It really showcases the intense dedication of the people involved, the meticulous strategic breeding, and the incredibly high stakes of that specific part of dog history. It's a deep dive into what made these dogs legends in that world.
Definitely a unique window into the history, showing the dedication, the toughness, the challenges, and that undeniable spirit. It gives enthusiasts of this history so much detail.
And maybe think about how Buck's story, especially those really dramatic moments, the Sandman fight, the handler interactions, the tragic aftermath, his recovery, how it all reflects not just on the dogs, but on the really complex human side of it all. The ethics, the emotions, the huge investments people made in these animals. It kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it, about the sheer depth of that commitment and maybe the ultimate cost of playing for such high stakes.